Fly on the Wall Productions bringing you the Aired Out podcast. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to a new day. Welcome to the weekend. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and streamed everywhere you get your podcasts. On the web at airedoutvt.com, as made by Woodland Studios. Mary did such a great job. Good morning. Yes, it is here. The weekend is just upon us. It is right in front of us. Listen, a couple of things here right off the bat. First of all, happy birthday to Delwood, Patrick Tibbetts, who had a great night last night at Thunder Road. Tina Ruthier, Dave Hawkins, Alton Putvane, Elizabeth LaPearl, Ryan Therian, Tim Smith, Patty Casey is on the list today, and Maria Amaral. Please drive carefully this morning. There are some construction projects. Actually, there's a lot of construction projects. And it's not just, resurfacing and all that stuff and banking. There's line painting. There's a lot of stuff, guardrail installation that's going on everywhere. And I was on the motorcycle driving in this morning. And there were a couple of times where I had to really just keep my my wits about myself. Just people are distracted and not paying attention. And there was a few times I had to get on the brakes and really, if I wasn't paying attention, could have been bad. So, isn't it funny how motorcyclists, and I'm sure that many of you can relate to this, that we often pay a lot more attention when we're on our motorcycle than when we're in the car or the truck. But having the mindset of, well, all of the other people that are out there driving their cars or whatever, maybe aren't paying as much attention as you are when you're on your motorcycle. I don't know. It's just interesting to me. Just please be careful, no matter where you are this morning. Weather from NBC5 today. Right now, just below 60. Some fog in the valleys. Sun and clouds tonight around, today. Sun and clouds 75. Tonight, partly cloudy and about 55 degrees. Last night was amazing. Wow. Rain showers and thunderstorms tomorrow on Saturday, around 70 for the high. And Sunday, the better of the two, as I said yesterday, sun and clouds 75 degrees on Sunday. Monday, sunny and hot and near 90. Yankees with the Athletics tonight and again tomorrow at 1:05. Red Sox welcome the Blue Jays to Fenway at 7:10 tonight. NASCAR Cup Series tomorrow, Quaker State 400 at Atlanta. Yes, we're going to be talking about Thunder Road. Of course, we're going to be talking about Thunder Road today in just a little bit. I want to bring on Rusty Deweese. I want to see if we can reach him this morning. Good friend and a guy who's, let's see how he answers the phone this morning.
Hello.
There he is. Russ, good morning.
Oh, JD, how you doing, fella?
Oh, fella, how are you, man? Listen, first of all, I want to say happy summer to you. We're right back to the hot weather come Monday.
Yeah, oh, we are.
I want to ask you, though, when you see the fog sitting down in the valleys like it is this morning, it was coming down the Orange Heights, I see the fog sitting down in on top of Barrie. Do you think, oh, my God, there's the fog sitting in the valley? That means colder weather's in place? Winter's tomorrow. Do you think like that?
No. When I see the fog in the valley, and you know where my house is, I look right down in. Miles across, I see the fog in the valley. What I realize is that I'm a simpleton, and I'm not sure I'm looking at fog, or that's just what I'm able to take in with my simple mind. I can't see no further, and then the rest of it's fog. Yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't blame it on anyone else. I blame it on myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Listen, buddy, you've got a great weekend ahead of you.
Yeah.
Before we talk about what's going on tomorrow, though, what are you doing out there, Russ, with a push mower when it's a heat index of 110, bud? What's going on here? What the hell are you doing?
You know that I give you solid, truthful answers, and and this ain't me being funny or nothing, because some people don't think I'm funny anyway. Well, they can pound sand. They can go behind the shed and then take a gall darn bunch of bread and throw it. You know what I mean? For all I care. But you got to understand, one has to understand that everybody's body's different, and I'm being 100% serious when I say my body reacts very well in heat and humidity. I'm not talking I'd want to live in the tropics. I'm not talking I want to live in Florida. But when it gets hot and humid here, I can go, I'm eating right and I'm drinking water. I can go right out and mow. I used to do concrete work. And then I'll stop, right? Go get a little water, and a couple fellers be chatting, and they're complaining about how hot it is. A lot of it's in the mind. But I'm sitting there, and literally, if there's any breeze at all, I'm feeling it almost cool. So that's number one. It really doesn't bother me. But my dad was like that. I'm not faking it. I'm not like, oh, I don't mind the heat. I just do everybody else's crabbing. I really, really like it.
Yeah, but
I remember.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You remember.
I remember I moved to New York City. I was 29. I got a job moving sets for like Saturday Night Live and fashion shows and stuff. And the guy that I was put to work with, he'd worked there a while. I think he maybe even a little younger than me. He was smoking. He was a smoker. This is 1989, late 19. And he was coughing, hacking, and because he said, I'm sick. I got a cold. He's a nice guy. And I said to him, I'm not a jerk or nothing. I said, but, you say you got a cold, and you do have a cold. It's obvious. I said, but yet you're still smoking away. He says, Russ, smokers don't know that when I'm smoking, whenever, and also now even when I have a cold, when I am smoking a cigarette, it makes everything feel cool down my throat. You know what I mean? So that's the opposite of, I'm the opposite of most people. I don't mind that heat. Bring it on.
Yeah. But you got to admit, though, Vermonters, a little thick-blooded, buddy. We can't, we're not engineered to handle this kind of heat like they do down south.
Well, yeah, Vermonters eat a lot of maple syrup and potted meat, But you know what potted meat is?
What is that?
It's another way of saying meat in a can, like tuna fish, and a potted meat. Hey, Helen, you got any of that potted meat? Spam. That's potted meat. It's in a pot. I don't know. I mean, If people don't like the heat and they don't like the humidity, all I can tell you is the sweat drips off me. And obviously, we know the sweat's a cooling thing.
Yeah.
And I can be right out in the blazing, 92, humid. And give me a shovel, I will dig you a hole that you'll envy.
Yeah, and plus you're detoxed with all that sweat coming out of you, though, right? You're cleaned out.
Oh, cripes! It's blue and red and purple and everything color. I mean, I got, they say you want your pee to be clear. Well, son of a gun, I don't even have clear sweat. I mean, it's like it's LBGTBQ. It's a sweat. It's all different colors.
Sure. Yeah. Big day for you tomorrow. Tell us what you're going to be doing this Carnival for a Cure, Lacing Up for Cancer. The Lamoille Area Cancer Network is hosting their 23rd walk, and this is a big deal over in Morrisville at the People's Academy track. Tell us what you know about this, Ross. You're going to be the keynote speaker at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, you got that right. Well, what I know about it is it's one of an organization of people that got together years ago, just like so many people in our. I'll just use our state, Vermont. There's all sorts of groups doing good things, and they just happen to have this idea that if we can do one of them walks around the track and with the luminaries, and people pay money to do miles around, we can raise money for our mostly Lamoille County people, but outside of Lamoille County people who are undergoing treatments of cancer. You got to remember, you undergo a treatment of cancer, and it knocks your mind right out of normal life, right in the heartbeat.
Sure.
And But the other thing is, then you might need a ride somewhere here or there. Well, if you're going to have a ride with somebody and you can't work, how are you going to pay the gas for that person that's giving you the ride?
Sure.
This is where some of this money goes to, and I can tell you right now, this ain't one of them organizations that they raise the money and then it goes,
Right.
75% of it goes to the administration. Not that I'm harping on anybody, but it goes right to. I mean, if you ain't allowed to know who's getting cancer treatments. That's HIPAA.
Right.
The hospital can't say old Steve Stevenson's getting cancer treatment, but they have an in on a proper lawful in on whoever's having the cancer treatment, and they send a check to you.
Yeah.
They send a check to you.
Isn't that
So
amazing?
this helps out. So, but the event itself is, I guess you walk around. It starts at 1, goes till 10. Everybody loves fireworks. You're sitting there eating your potted meat, and
Sure.
with maple syrup on it, and the fireworks are going off. And then they got the dunk tank, and they got the music, and they got everything else. It is a big deal. It's rain or shine.
Russ, what are you going to be saying tomorrow, 1:00, as the keynote speaker? Can you give us a little snapshot of what to expect?
Yes. First of all, they say opening ceremonies and keynote speaker. I don't want people to know that if they get into their Rambler and load up the trunk with cold drinks because they're going to walk around the track and earn money for cancer.
Right.
The opening ceremonies don't take 20 minutes of boring stuff. There'll be a couple words by the organizers. And then I do a keynote speech. Now, I've been undergoing cancer treatments since, let me tell you when, 2023, let me call it December, which includes radiation I've gone through, chemotherapy, which is 128 days. I forget how many weeks that is, 18, I think.
No.
And that got over May 2024. So I've been 13 months out of chemo, and it worked like a charm. And then also I'm on hormone therapy. So I won't really, it's funny I say that because I'm doing really well, by the way. Thank you, anyone, for giving me thoughts, good thoughts. But it's just, my keynote speech isn't going to be about anybody's journey through treatments of cancer. It's going to be just an uplifting what I think humanity and human beings singularly and collectively might want to put our minds to regarding mind and body and community health. That's all. It's just a couple of thoughts that I have. For instance, every morning, if you can try to wake up in the morning like the little kid, the 4-year-old kid, and staying with the father on the weekend, because the father gets the 4-year-old kid in the weekend, wakes up in the house on a hot, humid morning, and the hot, humid sun's coming through that little 4-year-old kid's window. 4-year-old kid's in bed, and the 4-year-old kid opens its eyes and says, "Oh my gosh, another day." Because the kid's 4 only, so the kid likes days. Now the father, he's 45, had a rough night last night before he picked the kid up. He's in his bed. He had a rough week at work, and he's hammering with the ex-wife and gall darn talking and yelling. And that sun and humidity comes through his window in the morning, and he opens up his eyes. He cracks one. And he goes, "Oh no, another day." Well, that's what one of the things is. It's attitude. If we can, it's hard to have a positive attitude every morning. But I'm just saying, maybe my little keynote speech is about kind of trying to commit to the effort to have a good attitude.
Wow. And it's really everything, Russ.
You're right.
No matter, even when things are going well, you still have to have a good attitude.
Funny you say that. Even when things are going well, because another little part of my thing, I ain't giving it away here. Totally, it doesn't matter anyway. But another part of it is I study Stoicism, and the Stoics say everybody know. You don't need a keynote speaker to be up there. It's just a nice way of starting a thing, and I know people and hello, and I might make a funny thing or something. But the Stoics say one knows there will be tough times in life, and there's many ways of defining what tough is for any of us humans. The Stoics say, spend your lifetime. The Stoics say this is what you got to do. They don't say that. They say this is something you might want to think about doing. And Stoicism or Catholicism or Buddhism. Those are just practices. None of the books on all these things say, okay, stop doing the bad stuff, now do the good stuff. It's about practicing. Stoics say, practice living life in a positive way in all ways, so that when those difficult times come, you can open the door to it and you'll be prepared for it. If you live your life ragtag, stealing from your employer, cheating on your whatever your partner there, not picking up your kid on time, and not taking care of your body. If you live life ragtag, now when something rough comes on to you, you're starting in a deficit. You see. So, like you said, yeah, even when things are good, you want to live the healthy way, so that when something comes bad, you can say, okay, come on, man, I'm ready.
I love the fact that you can be so entertaining and so humorous on so many different levels, but also be such a well-spoken and insightful man with so many great thoughts and things that so many of us can take away with us, Russ. I love that about you, buddy. And
well, thanks. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you have been a great mentor to me over the years. I remember.
Likewise.
Likewise. I just if it wasn't for you, I'm not so sure that I would be podcasting. I mean, you were the one that really suggested to me, hey man, you should think about starting your own podcast.
Yeah, well, you'd have done it anyway. But just a little bit of a forethought from someone else. It just solidifies what would have come out of you anyway. And yeah, you're a mentor to me. I watched you go through difficult times, specifically with your mom and dad, and you're just a type of human that just took care of them throughout all the way down. And the things I'm saying, like I just said, I don't sit up here and go, hey, I studied Stoicism, I did this, I did that. The only thing I got going on that many people don't is that I have this thing where I'm asked to stand in front of people and tell my thoughts. Mm-hmm. Everyone's having these thoughts.
Sure.
It's just that you call me on the radio. You don't call my next door neighbor who he's an IT guy in Albany, New York or something. He don't get that call because no one knows him. But anyway, no. The thing is, the cancer or whatever it is, that's big deal stuff. So there'll be people who have probably something going on with them in the health realm. But then there's going to be all the people who, the families of, and the people who help. It is a great event, and I know these events go on all over the place. But this Lamoille County one is a good one, in particularly because that Galdar PA Academy place, that's a nice field, and you're looking at Elmore Mountain, and sure. I don't even care if it's drizzling or nothing, yeah. But come on out to it. That's tomorrow, ain't it?
Yeah,
just
tomorrow.
That's a joke. I know.
Russ, anything special on the horizon for you during the summer that we can watch for, to look for you?
Summer is when I do mow the lawn in the humidity, and I don't say to myself, well, I'm going to do a show at 7:30 at the Barrie Opera House, and then everybody on a one beautiful day, they can be up at the reservoir, up at, down Waterbury Reservoir, water skiing. Let's put our water skis away and the 5 good days that we get and go see Rusty Louise. So That's all to say. I don't do many shows in the summer. I did a private company party last week, but in the fall, you'll see me here and there. And I always promote it on the, you help me promote it, but also on the, what the hell is it called? Social media. But also I got me a goldarn video podcast I started myself. It's a 3-camera one, full studio in my house. And I did my first one the other night with your buddy Jake Blauvelt. And then I got John Fusco. We're going to tape one. I'm going to try to do 26 a year. And I don't know. It's just a way for people to give their life story out. I go 2 hours with these people, and so I'm going to be doing that. And you'll be able to see that on Spotify and YouTube, all the things, all the ways you can get these podcasts. Anybody's listening there, remember it, in about 2 weeks, you get on there. Rusty Louise, Good New is the show. It's called Good New. So, find that.
So Russ, I was just going to say, where do we, how do we find out when we can watch that first episode? Did we just get on
Well,
the Rusty Dewey, the logger page, or where do we go?
no, what? Yeah, the good question. Like I say, we just taped the first one Wednesday night, so I'm looking at the full edit of it today, make some edits and stuff, and then you got to package it, put the red commercials in the middle of it. I'm saying, if 2 weeks from now, when it's a little bit past July 4th, if you're riding around your car saying, "What the hell? What if that Rusty DeWeese?" Go to Spotify, go to YouTube, plug in Rusty DeWeese podcast, boom, and it'll be there. It's not going to be there tomorrow, but I can't tell you definite. Oh, the first one's gonna, because this is a process that I'm learning.
Sure.
And so, but middle of the summer, two weeks from now, you'll be able to see these podcasts, and they're good. They're going to be good. I got a lot of interesting people, but I'm like, here's where you get the people who don't have the fancy names like a governor, or a lieutenant governor, or a senator, all those people. I like the guy that's holding this, or girl, or trans, and I'm not even joking about that stuff. I know there's a weird thing about all that stuff, and I don't think fellers should be playing field hockey with girls necessarily. But whoever you are, whatever you are, if you're holding the slow stop sign at the construction area, I'll have you right on the podcast, because you know why? I'm like you in this. I go by them slow stop sign people, slow stop construction, and I think a couple things. I think, God darn it, that's a hard job.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, it is hot. I say I love the heat. That's a truck. He just put his brakes on. I say I love the heat, but I don't want to be standing on the highway for 10 hours.
Sure.
And I also say, what are the particulars about this job? That holding the slow and stop sign thing, there's things to that job that people that don't do it don't know about. And I'm interested in that. I count cars, I count 100, and then I do whatever the hell it is. I see some friends going by. Most people don't even look at me. I see people doing weird stuff. And what's the weirdest thing you see? Or what's your favorite dog? A dog ever tried to bite you? All that stuff. So I get those type of folks on too.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful, and that's something that you have you've taught me. Go for the regular guy. Share his story or her story of what they're going through, what they're experiencing in life. And I've taken that same kind of mindset to Air It Out, and that really is rooted in not only you but also Ken Squire, who also pushed that on me. He's like, who gives a crap about some big name, man? Go for the regular Joe walking down the street and get his story on the airwaves. So yeah, good stuff,
right,
man.
Well, you always like. I don't. This isn't a criticism, but I don't like when these politicians say that. I'm working for the common guy, the common girl, the regular guy. I don't. That's just semantics. That's words. I say they shouldn't be using that term, regular guy, because ain't nobody regular. Everybody's the same. But you have that interest in you anyway. You like you. What I mean to say is, you just love all people. You're not gonna. If somebody says to you, don't get in business with that guy, he's a dank. I don't listen to that.
Yeah.
I take it as a warning, but I say, well, that person that just told me that might have had a bad experience with that person. And the person might be a dank, and he might have had a bad day or whatever.
Sure.
But I mean, come on. The problem with not the problem. My thought about when you or me or anybody might have, let's say, the head of the human health and home and high-end services person, and that's not even a thing, but you know what I'm talking about. You have the head of that or the head of this on. What they're talking about, because it's their job, is their job. Like, well, in our human services department, what we're doing is we're going to ask for a grant this year, because last year we were down because the Congress voted on taking money away from us, and they put it to so that's what they're talking about. It's not that person in that job isn't interesting. It's that I don't think those jobs are interesting. A lot of the people that these shows have on talking about politics, or they're talking about,
I know exactly what you're saying, man.
So that's it. And what do I want to hear about what's going on in Montpelier for?
Yeah.
I want to hear about the people who are in Montpelier who were elected. I want to hear what freaking hell they had for breakfast and why.
Yes.
Because what they're going to say is, well, I went down, had to vote on the so-and-so, and the governor was going to veto that, and we were all mad at him. But what's going to happen is he's got to watch out because we're going to and then this and that. No, I say, what do you have for breakfast?
Yeah.
Why do you have that?
Yeah.
Well, my father used to eat Rice Krispies every morning. And he'd say to my mother, see, now there it gets interesting. Taxes ain't interesting. They're going up, you sons of... Hey, listen, you were born? Taxes ain't going to be what they were the day you're born. They're going to be a hell of a lot higher by the time you die. Who don't know that? So don't waste your time talking about goddamn taxes on shows. They can pound bread too. It's like punching goddamn Wonder Bread. You don't get nowhere. I'm just kidding. I'm being funny. Anyway, you know where I'm headed right now? The freaking gym.
Are you?
To the gym. Oh yeah.
Russ, did Dad chase those Rice Krispies with a little bit of Metamucil just to stay regular?
I wasn't using my dad. I was using just anybody that came off the top of my head.
Yeah.
My dad, I think he was a cornflake man mostly. But I think that guy was a regular till the day he died. You know, I really do. I think he didn't have. He'd go to the bathroom, or something, and then we'd be sitting. This is a young kid, 6, 7, 8 years old. You know, my sister 5 years older than me, so you do the math. And we're sitting there, and maybe a late Saturday breakfast we sit. And I'm not much of a breakfast guy. Even when I was a kid, I didn't care about. But he'd get up and he'd say, Marilyn, I got to go for a second section. And he'd be heading down the hallway. And what that meant is he had to have a round 2 of a dookie. You know what I mean? He'd have round 2. He'd already gone. And then he sits there and drinks 2, 3, 4, 5 things of coffee and has his cornflakes, toast, and bread. And then about an hour and a half into that, Marilyn, I got to go for a second section. That's what he called it, second section. Yeah.
Russ,
yeah. That's true.
Tomorrow you're going to be the keynote at Lacing Up for Cancer, the big Carnival for a Cure at Morrisville's People's Academy. Keynote speaker at 1 o'clock, 23rd year that they're going to be doing this walk. 9:30 is the fireworks. 4:30 in the afternoon is the pizza party. It's going to be an amazing day.
Yep.
But you were just talking, and we'll wrap up this morning, but you were just saying a little while ago that you have been experiencing cancer, and you've been fighting the fight yourself over the last however many months. You also mentioned that you've gone through chemo and you're going through the hormone therapy too.
Yeah.
What's that been like? Has the voice gone up a few octaves? Do you have hair in your chest now? Hair in your butt? Are you finally going through puberty? What's going on with that whole hormone therapy thing?
Well, first of all, the chemo was intense because they called me young. So I was diagnosed August 2023, which at that point I was 62 years old, and I turned 63 in November. But they said, look, you got this stuff in good shape here, this prostate cancer, so we're going to nail you with radiation and heavy chemo. The doctor even said, what we put you through, not many people would want to go through or do. But I handled it very well. And that's, again, the stoicism. You know, I was prepared. My body was prepared. And I handled that well. So that is to say, to answer your question, like I came out of that and you get it accumulates toward the end. You feel pretty goddamn weak. I kept a log, N for normal feeling on one day, or F at 4 o'clock. It was F. You know, let's say January 30th, the F. So when I'd have my second infusion, I'd kind of know what to look for. But it did get a little bit peaked toward the end of it. But anyway, I come back from that, and then now you're on hormone therapy, and it's 4 pills a day, and then a Lupron shot every 3 months. And I can say this without joking about it. I've handled that well also. I got me a girlfriend, in other words, and things are just peachy. We like each other. There's things, we have a good old time, if you get what I'm saying. Now, but I have talked to fellers who go through the same thing. Now, they might be a little older. They might already come into it with diabetes or high blood pressure. And they say that this hormone therapy takes the starch out of them pretty good. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means around 3 o'clock they got to take a nap. That means instead of mowing the lawn push mower at 92 degrees and humid, they hire somebody to do it. That's what that means. I think these therapies, they've come so far. They extend your life, and then they take the pain out of it, and they also make it so you're regular life. So when I got done my 18 weeks of that chemo, I'm still on the hormone therapy, will always be, and there's no trace of the bad the stuff in me when I do my numbers, which is great. Every 3 months you get that. At some point there may well be, because my thing is non-curable, but then they have something else again. We're gonna knock it down. But no. I have to say, you asked a question. It was a funny question, but I've handled it. I'm just fortunate. I'm a normal life. I'm living a normal life after having gone through serious treatment and still going through treatment that you would say is a medication, that it ain't exactly like baby aspirin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Russ, I love you, pal. And listen, I hope that you'll be able to sneak into the studio here at some point.
Christmas.
Yeah, maybe even before Christmas would be great, buddy. I'd love to see you, man. Maybe I'll hop on the bike and run up there. But big hugs to you, man, and thank you for doing what you're going to be doing tomorrow. The Lacing Up for Cancer walk at Morrisville's People's Academy, right there on the track. You're the keynote speaker at 1:00, and thanks to the Lamoille Area Cancer Network for doing this.
And I'll hang around there too. And I want to tell people again, if you're planning on going, and you should, I was doing these therapies. I was getting the chemo. All of a sudden, I go to the mailbox and I open up this is true. I have a letter to me in there, and it's a check for money, and to my name. You know how you get them fake checks, and you look at it and you're like, this is fake. I said, I don't think this one's fake. And I forget what it said up on the top there. It didn't say Lamoille Valley Cancer Network, or maybe it did. So I got in touch with that. I wrote them back. I sent it back. I'm in pretty good shape as far as finances. And I said, well, I don't need no goddamn extra money here. So I sent them back the thing. I said, thank you very much. I don't know who the hell you are or what the hell you're sending me money for, but thank you. And split this up and give it to somebody else. So they and I don't say that to make myself sound cool or anything. I don't need the help. I drive myself through. But anyway, and buy groceries. They sent me a note back, or I think I got an email back, said, "Hey, Rusty, this is so and so from the Moyle Valley Cancer Network. This is what we do. If you're taking therapies, we send money to people." And I was like, "Son of a gun!" So that's who this is. So as you go, the money's going directly to the people. And I do want to tell your listeners, when it's a keynote speech, it ain't gonna be long. Don't worry about it. You ain't gonna be sitting there in the rain or the hot sun listening to me blabber. But anyway, all right, man.
Buddy, listen, Russ. Thank you so much for hopping on with us this morning.
Always.
Appreciate
it. Say hi to the wife and daughter, old fella, from old Russ.
I will. Thank you, Russ. Again, he's going to be the keynote speaker tomorrow, 1:00. It goes all the way till 10 p.m. at People's Academy as they celebrate their 23rd year of doing this. Activities and music and theme laps throughout the day. The opening ceremony at 1. The luminary tent is going to be open at 11 a.m. That's when registration starts. It's just going to be a fantastic day. Please come on and get out there and be part of this experience if you can tomorrow. I know it's going to be raining. Bring an umbrella. Bring your raincoat. And please participate. Dr. Rick Barnett is... Hey, I got you, buddy. How are you, man?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing?
Very well. Rusty was just on with me this morning and went a little long, but you know how that is.
Rusty is the man. He's a talker, and he's an entertainer, and he's got a lot to say, and he's a very interesting guy. I'm glad you had him on the show.
Man, Rick, I'm glad to have you with us. Dr. Rick Barnett has been on Aired Out several times. You have had quite the life, my man. You have done so much in your career as a therapist. Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, where you are, what you do. And I know that there are many facets here. You can't put you in a box for sure.
I like to be outside the box, inside the box. Is there a box? No, I'm a psychologist, clinical psychologist in private practice in Stowe. And I also am partnered with the state of Vermont to help people get their licenses reinstated after they've gotten a DUI. So there's something called Project Crash, or the Impaired Driver Rehab Program. So I help people with that process. And I've also been involved in psychedelic medicine research, therapy, training, and also addiction recovery related issues. So all over the map for sure. And I've had, experiences with addiction myself as a young man, and long term in recovery. And that's pretty much what got me into the field of mental health and treatment and stuff, to get trained as a psychologist and try to help other people.
And now, and you have been part of the Psychedelic Society of Vermont. What is that? Tell us what that is, and some groundbreaking changes that you're really hoping to implement, not only in our state but maybe in the region.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to recognize that anybody listening, when they hear the word psychedelic, that might mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. There's still a lot of stigma associated with psychedelics. So, the Psychedelic Society of Vermont is a group of healthcare professionals informally organized after I completed a training program in psychedelic research and therapy back in 2020. I really wanted to have a group of healthcare practitioners who understand the historical and new research coming out on the effectiveness of psychedelic medicines. What I'm talking about here is magic mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms that create an altered state of experience for several hours. People associate that with the Grateful Dead and concerts and camping and recreational use, but really, for a lot of different mental health conditions and addictive disorders, it's been shown more and more to be very effective in helping people. So, this group of healthcare practitioners gets together about once a month online. We've been able to put on a conference every year here in Stowe, with leading researchers from around the world coming to Stowe and share their research with us, and really bring psychedelic medicine to the people, right now, in terms of information, education, and training, but eventually, hopefully, bringing it to the people in a safe and effective setting. Right now in Vermont, psilocybin, MDMA, LSD, mescaline, all these psychedelic like drugs are considered illegal. They are illegal. They're not considered illegal. So there is no legal access to these medicines. And the issue is really that, because the research is showing that it's so effective, and there are other states that are decriminalizing, as well as setting up legal access um, programs to help people have experiences, to heal, to treat, to deal with whatever problems they're having. I'd love to see Vermont get on board with that, but so far, right now, the political will is such that we're still working on it. But there's enthusiasm, there's excitement for it. It's just we don't have anything up and going yet here in Vermont.
Has there been any recent traction? What's being said under the Golden Dome? Are there any bills that are pending or getting recognized at all?
There are bills that are in the state house. One of them is a continuation of a bill that was passed in 2024, where they set up a psychedelic therapy advisory group. So, myself, along with several other leaders in the healthcare field, the Commissioner of Health, Dr. Mark Levine, the medical director for the Department of Mental Health, and someone from the Board of Medicine here in Vermont, from the Vermont Medical Society, from Brattleboro Retreat. We all gathered last summer, met several times, invited experts into our discussions, and we produced a report late in 2024. Really, my hope was to suggest and recommend to the legislature to set up some sort of legal access therapy program here in Vermont, and there wasn't consensus among our group. Unfortunately, what we did recommend was more education and training around psychedelic therapies, psychedelic medicine, psychedelic drugs, because more and more people are using these substances because of the research and because of, frankly, some of the hype around it. And we really want people to be educated and trained. And we also recommended that we continue to look at other states to see what's happening. So right now, our recommendations last year were not very aggressive in terms of setting something up here in Vermont. But there is a bill now in the Senate that has to do with setting up a pilot program to see if we can recruit people who are dealing with anxiety and depression due to some sort of terminal illness, and see if we can set up a pilot program to facilitate, to offer people psilocybin experiences to help with this condition. A lot of people have anxiety and depression when they're faced with a terminal illness, understandable, and psychedelic therapies have been shown to be useful for that. That bill is not getting any traction right now. Right now, we have a governor who is a little bit more conservative on the side of any kind of decriminalizing or introducing new drugs into the system here because of the opioid crisis, because of the drug and alcohol problems we have in this state. And so, unfortunately, people still lump psychedelics into just another drug rather than seeing it as a useful tool. So I'm not sure with Governor Scott in at the helm, even if we did pass something, would he sign it? My hopes is that he would, because he understands the research and how useful it can be for Vermonters. But I don't. I think there's a lot of lawmakers that are very supportive of decriminalization, legal access. However, I don't know if the political will is there right now.
There's so much chatter about microdosing and the benefits of it. But man, you're walking a fine line here with this, and I think you know that, Rick.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, because this is a new area of research. I feel very supported by my colleagues and by the research that's coming out. By more and more universities and organizations are really embracing psychedelic medicine and research as the new frontier in psychiatry, in psychology, in mental health and addiction recovery. So even though it feels like a fine line, it's really just a matter of time where the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, finally approves one of these drugs as a synthetic, molecule, a synthetic drug that could be prescribed and offered in a medical setting. And like I said, there are other programs like Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, and certain regions around the United States that are already decriminalizing and setting up therapy or psychedelic treatment centers where people can have these experiences legally. So it really, JD, it's just a matter of time. I wish there was a little bit more political will and aggressiveness under the Golden Dome to actually pass something, because you know what? People are suffering and these tools do work. We know that. We don't need to wait around for the Food and Drug Administration to approve this. There are safe and effective ways to offer this to people. And, we'll get there someday.
There's so much chatter about this, as I've said, and I've heard podcasts about psychopharmacology and the benefits of ketamine assisted psychotherapy with regard specifically to PTSD. Is that something that that you're able to do, Rick?
Yeah, so ketamine treatments, or also ketamine assisted psychotherapy, they're kind of the same, kind of different. Though that's what's loosely considered a psychedelic therapy like experience or system that is here in Vermont, that's all over the country. It is legal, it is approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And so it is something that I offer to my patients. There's programs in the Chittenden County area, Addison County, down in Bennington, even the White River Junction area. So it is becoming more and more popular and useful tool for people to use for PTSD. And basically, JD, what that entails is like it is kind of a similar, it's like a proxy for what will become psychedelic therapy in the future. So someone gets prescribed ketamine and they either have lozenges that they bring into the therapist's office and they self administer the lozenges after several sessions of preparation. They have an experience with ketamine that's psychedelic like in a therapist's office and they have time to talk about it as the drug wears off. Or they simply go into a clinic where they go into basically a doctor's office and they sit comfortably in a reclining piece of furniture, and someone puts an IV in their vein and they monitor their blood pressure and they have a ketamine experience without the psychosocial or therapeutic support in the room with them. So those are the two models that are available right now. I prefer, as a psychologist, having those wraparound services where you get to know somebody, you introduce this treatment, you have an experience in the office with them, you have time to debrief with them afterwards, and it's part of an ongoing treatment process. That's very different than just going in, getting an IV treatment to deal with nightmares, to deal with PTSD, to deal with acute suicidality. Ketamine can help with all these things. It's not a miracle drug, but it is a new tool that is sort of foreshadowing the coming age of psychedelic medicine and treatment. So it's kind of neat to be involved in that.
What about folks who suffer from epilepsy seizures? Um, i- does that help at all?
Ketamine, I don't believe ketamine is contraindicated for people with seizure disorder. However, it's not necessarily used off label for any kind of seizure disorder. I would imagine that people on ketamine would experience a certain amount of relief for a short period of time from seizure activity. It's certainly, we know ketamine has been around for a very long time, since the early 1960s, and it's used in trauma medicine all the time, whether someone's in extreme pain or they are seizing. It's a drug that's used in trauma medicine. But in terms of the way we're talking about it here, I don't think people would come into a ketamine clinic to use ketamine for seizure disorder. That's a little bit outside of
Hmm.
the realm.
What finally this morning, Doctor? What would you say to Vermont legislators who are listening with regard to some bills that you are proposing, and what would you say to the general public on how they can support these bills or learn more, at least learn more about them?
Well, I mean, there's so much information out there available to us, and there's good information out there. There's a lot of hype, that's for sure. And frankly, there's a lot of misinformation about harms.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we'll hear a story about somebody that took mushrooms and drove and killed somebody, or took mushrooms and froze to death in the snowbank or something like that. And that's not reason to sort of get scared or pull back from like moving this forward for people. I mean, disproportionately, it is extremely helpful for people, and the research is bearing that out. Unfortunately, I think the legislature, lawmakers, tend to listen to medical experts in the state who will guide them as to whether or not to move something like this forward. And right now, the medical establishment that the legislature listens to is a bit conservative when it comes to aggressively moving this forward. And I happen to disagree with that. I think that there are safe and effective ways to move something forward here in Vermont. And I would like to see that start with psilocybin mushrooms. They're organic, they're extremely safe, safer than anything that we can think of: alcohol, nicotine, even over the counter medications that people take on a regular basis. Psilocybin mushrooms are safer than that, provided that they're offered in a context that has certain things in place to keep people well situated. So yeah, my hope is that lawmakers listening would take this seriously and say, hey, we don't need to be conservative about this. We appreciate medical opinion. We appreciate our leaders here in Vermont who are medical experts, but this is something that we can move forward in a safe and effective way without getting the full endorsement of the medical establishment, because it is happening. Like you said earlier, people are talking about this. People are microdosing all the time. It's already out there. It's already happening. Why not offer it in a more structured way where people can feel like, hey, this is actually there's a resource here that is informed, that is educated, that is safe, and I want to have this experience, but I want to do it where it's not illegal. And I have the fear of, this whole crazy drug war illegal system that we have in place. That's not helpful for people. So the public really, I would say to the public, reach out to your local representative, reach out to your local senator and say, hey, there are bills in the state house right now. Can we move the needle on those? Or, hey, I'd like to offer up a new bill. Look at what's happening in New Mexico. Look at what's happening in Colorado. Can't we create something like that here in Vermont? I think we can. Let's do this together.
Wow. Fascinating to chat with you. Always is, Dr. Rick. And I hope that you are able to sneak down to Barrie and hop in the studio one of these mornings. It'd be great. Thank you so much for.
I'd love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much for coming on the air this morning.
All right. We'll talk soon, JD. Thank you.
You got it. And I'm going to post up some links from Dr. Rick Barnett, our guest this morning, right after we finish live on the air, and get you some more information out there. But wow, man, amazing to chat with him. Last night, Brian Wall Jr. Gets the checkers in the first feature, 50 lapper. For the late models last night. Jason Corliss right behind him, followed by Chris Roberts. And then the second feature, it was Brandon Gray who got the checkers, followed by Chris Pelkey and Kyle Streeter. It was a great night for racing last night at Thunder Road. I was not there, but the weather was perfect. Tigers feature. The first one, Logan Farrell from Barrie got it. Jason Woodard behind him. Chris LaForest in third. And then the second feature went to Williamstown's Matt Ballard, Cooper French behind him. And in third, Rich Lowry from South Hero last night. That was a 40-lapper, 25-lap event for the street stocks. Patrick Tibbetts from Plainfield got the checkers, and what a way to celebrate his birthday today with another trophy to put on the shelf. Fred Fleury from Graniteville was third. Hayden Bushy Fred Fleury was second. Hayden Bushy was third for that first feature of the street stocks last night. And the second feature went to Derek Farnham from Bethel. Walker Fitch in second. I am so happy, so proud of Walker for doing so well last night. Kyle McCaskill from Williamstown in third for that 25-lap second feature last night for the street stocks. What a great night it was. It really was just amazing last night. The Warriors, Derek Mann from Graniteville got the win for the first feature, and Neil Foster from Moortown won the second feature. But what a great night it was. Yeah, I mean, wasn't close enough to hear the cars, but double features on the menu last night at Thunder Road was just amazing. Back in action next Thursday, July 3rd, for the Independence Day Spectacular. North Star Fireworks going to be doing the fireworks, of course, and all divisions are going to be running. Post time of 7 p.m. Got my tickets from Michelle Hebert this morning for the Mountaineers. Wearing my shirt this morning as well. They've got a couple of games that are going to be going on, some makeup stuff, and hopefully the weather is, Mother Nature is going to cooperate. But getting off to the ball field, to Recreation Field this Sunday for the Mountaineers. and it's going to be awesome. I just absolutely cannot wait. Listen, I started out this morning saying please drive carefully. I'm going to say it again. Please go easy this weekend. There's not only with all of the rain and the all of that on Saturday, but if you're out traveling, but anytime. There's so much construction going on everywhere. Just please be careful. Be alert today. Get to wherever you need to be. Thank you ever so much for catching the podcast this morning. Thanks for your time. Thanks for liking and following the Aired Out podcast. Don't forget to comment, to share any episode that you enjoy. We're always live. We're always local. We're never edited. And again, we're seen and heard live on Facebook and YouTube from Fly on the Wall Productions, streamed everywhere you get your podcasts, and on the web at airedout.vt.com. Keeping it real, keeping it raw, keeping it relevant and relatable. Have a fantastic rest of your Friday and your weekend from up and beyond. Catch you Monday morning right here on Aired Out.